Hey everybody, I'm Gary Lucas. It's 3 o'clock here in New York City on the veritable dot. And I'm here to play for you till about 3:30 today. So let's get right down to it. Something like that. That's Skindiving, and that started as a guitar instrumental, and I taught it to my band, Gods and Monsters, which at that time was Ernie Brooks on bass and Jonathan Cain on drums. And Ernie, you may know from his great work with Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, their earliest punk-inflected work. And Jonathan had played with Swans and Lamont Young. He was in Lamont's Forever Bad Blues Band, and Jean-Francois Povros, great French avant-garde guitarist friend of ours. And anyway, then we invited Ellie Medeiros, one of my oldest friends. Ellie goes back to the earliest days of the French punk scene, and I know I did a tribute to France and French culture and music and art and food and cinema and like that 2 days ago for Bastille Day. And but I think on my honeymoon, which was partially spent in London and partially in Paris, I first met Ellie in 1985 through her then guy, Ramuncho Mata, who I believe is still my Facebook friend. And Ellie was in a French band of renown called Stinky Toys. And they actually were on the cover of Sounds newspaper in the UK because they were, I believe, the only French band to play this legendary punk festival in a little town in Belgium. I forget which, but it had the Damned and the Clash and the Sex Pistols and the Stinky Toys. And so you should check her work out because she also then did some great solo albums on her own. Also some great duo albums with her Stinky Toys partner Jacques No, who tragically passed away. My favorite is a tune they did. It was the theme for an Eric Rohmer film, Full Moon in Paris, which I posted the other day. And anyway, Ellie is down in her native Uruguay. That's where she hails from right now. I hope she's listening, but I just want to give a shout out. Check her out. And Skindiving, anyway, we recorded this in New York in the old knitting factory on Leonard Street. Their last incarnation in New York City, they actually had a functional studio in the basement with 3 D88 machines. All you techno guys and gals will know what I'm talking about. This was some of the earliest kind of versions of digital recording. They were like 8-track recording units that were slaved together to make 24 tracks. There was no playback system, and so we were recorded on the stage of the knitting factory in Leonard Street. And then we'd have to run down 3 flights of stairs to this basement studio to hear a playback. We didn't know, we just took take after take running up and down those stairs until we got what we wanted. And then anyway, Ellie was in town, and we recorded a great vocal in French for this track. And it is on my forthcoming best of 40-year retrospective double CD, The Essential Gary Lucas, which right now is set to be released January 15th, which happens to be both MLK Day and Don Van Vliet's birthday. And Don, let's see, this year, what would he have been? Don was born in 41, so that would make him 78 if he had survived, I guess. Anyway, that's another story about Don. But I love to fill you in on these stories because I have a lot of them, and I like to share. I want to thank J.P. Poiret, who must be French with a name like that. It sounds like Hercule Poirot, I guess. J.P. sent me an order for some CDs. Now, my merch page is working again on my website. Thank you to Tanya Weeman for correcting the flaw that was extant there. It's now been corrected, and I have a whole bunch of albums. I put 30 albums at least, and most of them are available there. Even some I've had to buy off Amazon Marketplace, as the rather dodgy labels that put them out went out of business a long time ago. And I ran out of copies personally, but they're all there autographed, and also a copy of my last book, Touched by Grace, all about my work with Jeff Buckley. That's there. So check out the merch page. And Eric Levine, who's been taking Skype lessons from me, also contributed. I got a lesson with him later tonight at 8 o'clock. Ole Skara. Now there's a name to conjure with. He's definitely Scandinavian, though maybe he lives in this country, I'm not sure from the email address. Dave Schultz, a great writer for the wonderful Trouser Press magazine going back many a year. They were an Anglophile, American Anglophile's dream, who then magazine segued into the punk and new wave era with all cylinders firing. And they're back in business online, I'm told, which is great. I want to say thanks to Dave, who's been a regular contributor, and he wrote, just finished watching today's stream, magnifique, vive la France. That was Tuesday's show. Yeah, my sentiments exactly. Okay. Dennis Cripps. Now there's a name to conjure with. Is he, a Crip or a Blood, or I can't tell from that name, but it's with two P's. Cripps. Dennis, thank you so much. Walter Ivers. Très bien, Gary, merci. Obviously French, but who knows where he's living? I don't know. Mark Green, another guitar student of mine. Looking forward to another lesson, as am I. Richie Robinson from the UK, who is actually one of the biggest drum beaters for my late dear friend Vivian Stanchel of the Bonzo Dog Band. Thank you, Richie. And Phil Stutt, also from the UK, who goes under the very clever, at least PayPal handle, Earn Money and Work Online. I love that. Thanks for the wonderful music. My pleasure. And Tina Baskins complete the roster of the righteous elect here, and the righteous among nations, at least in whatever flag I'm flying under today. And it's been one of those weeks, we're not even through it, but there's just one incredible event after another, are there not? So numerous to mention, I won't even go into a recapitulation for you, but the Chinese have a proverb, a very famous proverb, may you live in interesting times, which has a double edge to it, does it not? Well, I would say these are the most interesting times I've ever lived through, and I've been around, for an awful long time here, many decades. I can't remember a period quite like that. Can you? No. Little bit of the overture to Tann Heuser by Richard Wagner. I mentioned I was a Francophile, a Germanophile, a Sinophile, I don't know, all sorts. Fan of everything that rocks. And pretty much every culture has certain manifestations that I find very pleasing, and anywhere you look, people are people, and what makes them tick over, musically, definitely fascinates me. And so it is with Wagner's music. Now, as a Jewish person, I got issues because he wrote a very villainous essay called On Judaism and Music, But I find the sensual aspects of the music as a listening experience so extraordinary that I forgive this. And I don't know, I don't really have a hard, fast rule. I'm not into cancel culture per se, you know what I mean? But there are some anti-Semites for which I will make an exception. Wyndham Lewis is another one, but he recanted. Wagner never did, although his principal conductor and many of his patrons were Jewish. And there's the rub, In fact, in the news today is a very startling new manifestation, without getting deeply into it, of the wonderful Fox organization, which is Rupert Murdoch's baby. And my friend Adrian Sherwood had a photo that ran in the Village Voice years ago, and on his pate, on his forehead, was written in lipstick, "Rupert Murdoch is bad news." So I would concur. I mean, look what he did to the New York Post, for instance. But they've picked up the show of this guy, this rapper, who is espoused very anti-Semitic remarks from, I don't know the height of what ignorance he delivered them, but as the ratings are really good on his show, they've decided to, put him on the Disney Fox channel, but take Disney out of the equation, so it's just going to be Fox now. And, it's kind of disgusting and scurrilous to me, I'm sorry. But anyway, to each his own. Chacun son goût. And I will now pick up my 1966 Seafoam Green Stratocaster here to play for you. A piece by Jeff Buckley and myself. I got a request for this, and I don't mind doing my greatest hits, especially when they throw down some shekels my way. So here we go. And that was for Jeff. And yeah, that's always brings back some really fantastic memories of working with this guy right over there in that corner of the room here in the apartment. And I don't know, but definitely please spread the word on Jeff Buckley. A lot of young people, I mentioned his name too, don't seem to recognize him, which is tragic to me. And while you're at it, definitely please hit people to my podcasts here, or what, these are not really podcasts. Okay, my live streaming events, which I then put on Facebook. Now I've been putting them on Facebook the day after. And yeah, we have to share the word. We got to bump up the stats here, as they say. So, okay, what else can I play for you? And I'm going to do an all-request show soon. So it would have to be something in my repertoire. I have to be able to play it. Because the fact is, I put out so much work, and I cannot really recall all of it to my satisfaction. I mean, it's not all on the tip of my fingers here. A lot of it is, but some of it I need to brush up a little bit. Hi, Caroline.
Hello.
Come on and say hello to the friends. Hello, this is Caroline here.
Hi.
Well, I invited her to lean in, but she's tending to Lulu. Lulu, we had to take to the vet. This is really sad. Lulu is 11, and we adore this mini schnauzer. And she hears me talking about her. She's shaking her harness right now. It's like belling a cat, you know. I know where she is, but her shake of this harness makes a nice jingling noise. Anyway, we took her in Monday, and supposedly she was going to get 2 teeth extracted. But they called us, and they were pretty upset, and as were we, to say, well, there was a lot of gum disease that we didn't observe. But now we've taken an x-ray. She really needs to have 24 teeth extracted, which she did. And then we went to pick her up, and she was pretty doped out. But, you know, she was also, she didn't want to know, Caroline and me, when she came out, like, you guys did this to me. You know, we definitely got the Lulu stink eye there. But the next day, the anesthetic was worn off, and she's back to her old self now. Albeit she's missing a few teeth. But dogs have 48 teeth. So she's got plenty left to chomp down on, but not really anything hard for the moment. But It sounds better on this guitar. This metal guitar, it's got a lot of character to it, but it's really a bitch to play, I gotta tell you. Intonation problems up the wazoo, but one doesn't really want to modernize it. So, I don't know, it's held together with rubber bands, actually, to prevent a lot of buzzes. Okay. Okay, well, that's going to do it for today. And what a pleasure and a privilege and all that good stuff planned for you, as always. And I love to see y'all here. Please come back on Saturday. Bring your friends, tell your friends. Please share. And stay safe, whatever you do. The situation sounds pretty dire out there. We hardly leave the apartment, quite honestly. And when we do, we're masked and anonymous, except for my little Captain Beefheart insignia over here. Oh, yeah, okay. Also, somebody wanted to know, I think it was Mike Barnes, where they could get this Kinks documentary I was waxing so enthusiastic about, all about Village Green Preservation Society. If you send me $20, I have a few DVD-DR copies, playable on probably most laptops in the world, or DVD players for that matter, but it's in NTSC, not PAL. So I don't know, you take the risk, because I don't know the answer to that one. Anyway, I'll be happy to send you a copy while supplies last. Okay, so great to see y'all here. Love you guys, and see you on Saturday at 3.